I'm going to call on Dr. Gbadebo Ogunlami, the Deputy Head of the Department for Accounting, Law, Hospitality, Events Management and Tourism at Anglia Ruskin University. Gbadebo is going to talk to us about the requirements of diversity as an enabling environment. And he'll be talking about people, process, organization, and technology. Gbadebo.
Thank you, Esosa. Thank you, Kede, and thank you, everyone. I think the previous speaker, Yemisi, set a very good foundation because she actually gave a lie to the conception of diversity being about gender, because you hear a lot about it to do with women. It's actually about everything. It's about just diversity. And the first thing I'd like to say is this. When you look at the human genome, Africa is the most diverse continent, contains 66% of the spread of human genomes in the whole world. So we are instinctively a very diverse people, even though we appear superficially to look alike, because people might group us together as, let's say, Black or African or whatever. That's the first thing. It's a concept that is very, very deep and very, very real. But it also requires an enabling environment, and this is where a lot of the movement towards diversity falls down. It's very easy to test it. If an organization is diverse, well, you look at the organization structure, you look at the board, you look at the workers, and then you look at the city or the society it's in. If the two things don't match, then it's not diverse, something is going wrong, because it means opportunities have not been given to the greatest spread of people that live in that environment. So diversity itself is geopolitical. It is transformational and of both. I think conceptually, it's about the removal of objections. Because one thing you have to realize that when your CV drops at somebody's desk, let's say the person's name is John Brown and your name is Gbadebo Ogunlami, they might put it in the bin, okay? Not because of anything on the CV, but simply because the name doesn't fit. So there are a lot of objections that actually prevent people of ability and people of diversity accessing particular locations. What that requires, therefore, is the provision of what I refer to as the benefit of the doubt. I've had the pleasure of growing up in Nigeria and then coming to the UK at 16. I was born in London, went as a baby to Nigeria, and then left Nigeria at 16, and I've lived in the UK since then till now, and I'll be 60 in a couple of weeks' time. One of the things that I've noticed and that I've seen living these two worlds is most people I come across in most places I've worked don't look like me. They might be female, they might be younger, they might be taller, they might be whatever. And I always give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because I put myself in the position and I say, okay, what can I do for that person to give them an equal chance? And I think that there are certain levers, and Esosa happily mentioned them. People, process, organization, and technology. They're the same levers that business actually needs to use to transform itself. I've done a lot of work on business transformation. I actually teach at postgraduate level business improvement and change, and I implement on a daily basis a lot of these things I want to talk about. So people, the people component of it is not just about gender. It's actually about proportional diversity. So there should be a pipeline of future participants that reflects the composition of society as it evolves. That's the first side of it. Then process is the nitty-gritty of getting it done. We've seen in some instances in the political sphere, sometimes you have all-female selection lists, okay? But I'm yet to see sufficient implementation of disability inclusion. There are lots of buildings that are not even accessible. It's about access. There's some buildings that are not accessible. They don't have ramps. Their lifts are too small. Their stairways have steps. How easy would it be for a blind person to get in and out of a particular organization, to get to work, to get through the tube system, the underground system, the transport system in Lagos or Abuja? These are all component parts of diversity, and they sit in the process channel. At one level, you can have selection lists, but at another level, you have to have fast tracking. Let's remember something. If we talk about Nigeria, the median age of Nigerians is 18 years old. What that means is that you have 100 and something million people in their late teens or early 20s that you need to provide for. How are they reflected in our institutions? If they're not reflected in our institutions, they will form their own lists, replace candidates at the ballot box. And if you don't have a plan that includes them, then your future is bleak. And you start to have an unraveling of the existing systems and their replacement by new systems. Let's move from that sad thought to organization. All an organization needs to do is have an openness of mind. For it to be fit for purpose, it needs to reimagine and reinvent itself and its capabilities on a regular basis. COVID has taught us this. A lot of us were technologists and have been technologists for a long time. A lot of other people who are resisting technology have had to come on board with technology because that's the way in which you need to work now. A lot of businesses that have reimagined themselves have been able to continue in some shape or form or find new opportunities. Those that weren't able to reimagine themselves, the zombie industries, are dying a natural death. They will not be replaced. The high street is dead. Online has taken over. These are all transformational changes to do with diversity of options, choices, all kinds of things. It's a rapidly evolving process, and I don't know where it ends. What I do know, however, is that technology provides real-time access across platforms, digital platforms. And the one area in which our continent may fall behind is in the lack of bandwidth. It's a major challenge. We have a lot of very, very capable technologists. There are a lot of fantastic companies, but there isn't sufficient bandwidth to carry them through. So let's talk about this in practical terms as I sort of conclude. In essence, the benefit of doubt is created by having an open mind. That's the first thing. So at the university I work at, Anglia Ruskin University, London, we look at student potential and consider our role in furthering their distance traveled. So we're not strictly looking at pure academic ability, we're looking at potential. Some students don't have good A levels, they don't have great language skills. We work on these things with them. When you look at inclusion, it's about participation for the socially disadvantaged. A lot of our students are not public school educated, don't have rich parents. Some of them are single families. Some of them have ADHD. Some of them have dyslexia. We still work on allowing them to participate fully in the university. We deal with a range of disabilities. Some are physical, some are mental. You end up setting up a well-being section that takes students through the peaks and troughs of life. I, for example, was involved in the COVID task force, supporting people through their positive COVID tests and stuff like that. I believe that physically and mentally disabled people have a lot to offer and are often just cast away as the detritus of society, and that's more the pity, more the pity. When I look at Anglia Ruskin University, London, and I compare it, for example, to University College or SOAS, where I went to, London University, Anglia Ruskin is much more diverse. I see professors and lecturers that look like me, which was not the case at London University, and it still is not the case at a lot of British universities. You will not see too many non-Caucasian lecturers, heads of departments, senior lecturers, and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And I'm sorry, nobody can tell me that they aren't intelligent Black people, because I went to university with a lot of them. There are loads and loads of them. They're just not, for whatever reason, getting through to these jobs. I think it's important to be, as an organization, a reflection, ethnically, racially, in gender terms, in disability terms. But the enabling environment has to be created by a leader. That leader will need to run a meritocracy, but a meritocracy in which you have a collaborative environment where everybody has their baptism of fire. If they get through that baptism of fire, then they get promotion through the ranks. I think very, very strongly that the same can be done to a state, a country, or an organization in implementing diversity and inclusion. That's what I have to say.